Hello everybody and welcome to another episode in the world of Mark 1 Focuses, and as you can judge from the title of this episode, I am going to be dealing with an infernal power steering switch. Oh yes, the power steering switch on a Mark 1 Focus will leak. They do age and they will burst in two different ways that I'm going to demonstrate today. Well, not demonstrate, but show you exactly where they go. Now, unfortunately, in the last episode of Nick's CL, George, we had many issues, and there was a few things that I need to go over in the next particular episode of that car. But suffice to say that what was done on the car was pretty good. I left the car in a really good state with really good brakes and a good handbrake, although it wasn't connected on one side for a few different reasons, and my hands just weren't playing up. That was the sort of job where I would have to do 2 days, and I'd have got it done. But because it was one day and he had to go straight back up north, yes, there are compromises to be made there. But that was the smallest compromise that I'll ever make with any brakes. You don't make compromises with brakes. Anyway, I'm pleased to report that George is getting better. But I'll go into that more in the next episode. I'm sure Nick will tell you all the stories. But unfortunately, after the job was sort of rectified by a local garage, I say rectified, the handbrake was just connected and we confirmed a few things. Suffice to say, the garage didn't do anything that I didn't do. So, well, there's one answer for you. But I'm taking the car for a drive around the block for about 20 minutes. George decided to have another problem. And yes, as you can guess by the title of this video, it is a power steering switch. As you can see with this photo here, unfortunately the power steering switch had decided at that very moment to give up. It is the original, no doubtly the original. I'm going to tell you how to identify if it's the original. It's very obvious actually if it's the original, not necessarily because it's a Ford part. This is one of them parts that I just recommend people grab from Ford. They are around 70 to 80 pounds usually, and I really would recommend that you just grab it and go. Now, for those of you who've been watching me for ages, you will know that I actually bought one years ago here for the pricey sum of about £15. Absolute bargain, which is why I bought it. And I bought it because I thought, no, it's for 1.6. This is the parts number for 1.6. I made a bit of a boo-boo about that one. So the parts number for this is 1076646, okay? Now this particular one is for 1.6 with air conditioning, because with a Focus Mark 1 with this engine, if you have got no air conditioning on a 1.6, you'll have this configuration where the pump is down here instead of at the back in the usual spot. My car and Nick's car are just unusually weird. On a CL with a 1.4, you never had aircon as an option, so therefore that would always be the configuration. So my car and Nick's will have the same switch and the same pump. The pumps are different. This is a completely different pump to what is fitted to a 1.6 with air conditioning. Completely different. And therefore, completely different switches. Oh boy, yes. It's like the manufacturers of the pumps were completely different. If you've got a diesel, that will have a third different pump, which is also shared with the 1.8 2-litre petrols, SD170 RS, okay? So there's 3 different pumps, 3 different pressure switches. Oh yes, so this is the wrong one. Can't fit this today. I'm waiting on another one, which Nick is kindly bringing down because I couldn't get one at the last minute. And I've had to pay a pricey sum. So if anybody fancies a genuine switch, I paid 15 for it, that's what it owes me. If somebody wants to come to a local meet, if you are a member of the Focus Mark 1 Preservation Club, get in touch with me. If not, give me an email and we'll work something out with a bit of postage, probably £20 to cover the postage, etc. And that is it. I just want my money for it. And it will go towards the new switch, which has cost me £76. So that is roughly what it is. And also, the one for my car is 647. That's the only digit. 647 is for 1.4s and 1.6s without aircon. 646 is the 1.6 with aircon, okay? Any other diesel, 1.8, 2 litre, it's 645. That's the difference. But it's not just the number. You can't fit these, and trust me, you can't, because the threads are different. So I'm just going to take this out, okay? Now I'm going to demonstrate this tomorrow when the other switch comes. This is a sort of a mini sort of two-parter here. Made in Mexico, interesting. This was packed in 2017, quite interesting. But the thread will be very different to the one that's going to come out in a second. You can't screw this one in, no doubt. There are a couple of failure points to this switch, which I'm going to demonstrate when I've taken that out, and it's very simple. So if it's at the back, there's a little bit less access, but I can actually show you clearly from the front what you need to do. You need a 19mm deep socket, probably on a 1/2 inch, because it's going to be tight. You might need a hammer just to smack it and crack it off, but actually I think it will come off quite easily. And obviously the two wire plug going to it. Now the power and steering switch is really critical. It's such a common fault now with this age. They will develop a couple of leaks from two different areas. The main way they work is just on pressure. There's a diaphragm inside the switch, okay? There's a little diaphragm inside there, and it does leak over time. It will leak as it ages. I think there's evidence actually that my pump is just weeping a little bit. That's absolutely fine, because the pumps always weep where the pulley goes on to the end of the pump. It's just a common fault, and I am getting a slight misting here and there, and you might see your level drop fractionally, very fractionally over a short period of time. If yours is one of them cars, just check that it's not your switch. But I'd recommend that every Mark 1 owner starts carrying out this job, and please don't buy an aftermarket one, because they might work now, they might work for 6 to 12 months or maybe longer than that, but they don't give me any guarantee of reliability, and we don't know how good they are at the moment, because we haven't had many members change their power steering switches, and there's no confirmation stories of whether they actually work for a few years at least and give that reliability. Bit of theory before we start. This is one of the most critical jobs that I think you should do on a Mark 1. Because if that switch bursts while you're driving... Now, Nick was very lucky. I'm going to go into that in a second. Nick got the switch changed at a local garage, no problems, and the pump survived. He drove it a few miles with the steering going very stiff. That is the first telltale sign. If your steering starts going suddenly stiff, it's not the rack. The rack won't do that, okay? The racks usually jump a tooth when you go around a corner. It will go firm and then it will go loose again. That's the rack. If it goes really, really firm just while you're driving it in even a straight line, even just giving it a bit of a twiddle it feels heavy. You need to check, and you need to stop, and you need to pull up and check that your switch is either not leaking at the back if it's an air conditioning model, or at the front if it's one of these weird configurations like this car and many of the lower specs. So please do check that out, because if you drive anymore, there's a chance, one, you'll you'll finish off the rack. And the pump, well, I've got one story to tell you. Many years ago, when I didn't know better, and I've taught you how to do a power steering flush now, and I'm going to be doing it on this car in a more basic way. But this video is just about changing this switch, and then you do a flush like I've shown you in the other video, okay? It really is important that you do not do anything in terms of turning the car over when you're doing a flush, okay? If you do, it's uncontrolled. The amount of pressure that's going to come out them pipes is going to make a mess. And also, I learnt my mistake from trying to do it that way, like somebody mistakenly told me, and I didn't know better. And there was a few seconds where the pump ran dry, and I tell you what, it was making some buzzing noises for a few minutes after that, and I was worried I'd sodded my pump up. And that's all it takes. It only takes a few minutes, and your pump is wrecked forever. It will run dry, and it will not seal, it won't pressurise. You are needing a new pump. Aftermarket, you're looking at 100 or so. Genuine, don't even ask. Hundreds. So try and preserve the original pumps. They always weep a little bit. This is no unique version. They always do weep a little bit. Now I can just kind of show you in here, just down there where my finger is, between the the pulley and the actual body, there is a bit of misting. It's always been like that. on this, okay? And it will be like that from the backside. So I'm going to get a bit of a clean, but the good thing is my switch does not leak. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I'm not being funny. I've had some warning signs recently to get this job done, and now I've just realised I've got the right part for it. But Nick's is an O2 plate, and it just hit home. Why have I not done this if it's so important? Don't ask me. I've had so many things to do on other cars. This has been left. I haven't had to do anything because I did things thoroughly first time. But this car will be coming back out in 2025 out of this garage, and there'll be a few things that I will do to it just to make it a bit more tidy. Mainly, there's no real aim of this. Just get a pan, 19mm, disconnect the connector, and we'll go from there. Just try and get it over. Come on. I'm sorry about this hose. Oh, come on. Go, 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 go. There we go. It's on. Just make sure it's on. There we go. Done. That's been loosened really easily. This hose there, because hopefully, there we go. That's turning. There we go. Right, I just have to drain pan underneath. This could, yep, there we go. It's gone. Excuse me. And off we go. Oh yes, that looks really clean. That's a really, really good sign. It's not black or sludgy. I tell you what, the flushes I've done before have really paid dividends, and we've got the switch right. I'm just going to let that drain now. That's that hole there. Yeah, it's coming out really nicely. Lovely. That's a really good sign, especially for my rack. Ooh, it's getting aerated a little bit. You could take the cap off, which might help. I'll just control the mess. That was easy. Now, this is the original bugger with its O-ring sitting nicely there. But look at this. This is so different. Yeah, it's completely different. Now, I'll just see some Fording tiniers. By the way, they all carry the same parts number. 98AB 3N824. They all carry the same parts number. There's another parts number on there. But this has done me such a good service. 22 years and it hasn't blown on me. And hopefully I will never have this issue as a Mark 1 owner. Now, shall we demonstrate why this one is completely different? I wonder why it won't fit. Yes, plenty of Mark 1 owners have made this problem before, and the aftermarket parts manufacturers do not make it easy. They confuse people. So please, if you've got a I'm going to make this simple and I'll repeat myself. If you've got a 1.4 or 1.6 without aircon, you have this with a much, much bigger thread. Okay? This can be fitted only to a 1.6 with aircon. The third one, I'm not sure what that looks like, okay? If you've got a diesel, an ST170, 1.8, 2 litre Z-Tech, whatever, RS, it would be a different design, and that would be 645. This is 646, this is 647, rubbish. That's emptied very, very quickly. I will show you this while this is actually empty. We've got a filter right at the bottom. Now, I did a lot of work with this this bottle. Now, these bottles, you can get them, but they can be a bit 50-50 whether you get the right one, because I've seen ones where you've got this sort of black plastic top like they fit to Mark IIs. They're okay, but I prefer the original look. I don't know whether they just made a sort of redesign change later on. And tell you what, getting these caps that haven't worn the logos away is a bit difficult as well. But I did clean that filter because you don't want any restriction on that filter. My advice is just to persevere, trying to swish as much out as possible. The only other solution that I have, and actually I've got exactly the right tool, if you've got a big enough, and we're probably looking at about 5-6 litres at least, a parts either a parts washer, you could just submerge it in and try and sort of soften any bits that are stuck in there. It's usually sludge or stuff from the rack. But also you can put it in an ultrasonic cleaner. I think an ultrasonic cleaner would be very good for this, and I'd be very tempted. I'm very tempted during this exercise because I'm actually going to have to leave the car for a day while I'm waiting for the other part for Nick. So I might just be tempted to take this with me today. I'll think about that, but to be honest, I can't see any rubbish down there. And that's what you want. You don't want any rubbish down there. But to do this procedure, I've had to, well, not completely jack it up. Unfortunately, I haven't got enough space in this garage, and it is due to rain. Don't want to be working outside with this, so I've just jacked it up on that side. I don't need axle stands because I'm not going to get crushed. I'm working here. So I'm going to leave this here, really, until Nick comes, because there really isn't much more to say. I'm going to proceed to the next part, which is refitting it and then flushing it out. I think, really, honestly, I don't need to show you too much more other than just the refitting. You know how to flush the system out. I've shown you before on its car, okay? Now, it's important to make a couple of things clear before I go to the next part, which will be fitting it, is how can I tell if it's been changed or not, unless it's a genuine one? But what if someone's put an aftermarket one? I wouldn't know. Easy. Well, the simple truth is you'll have the writing on them. But, you know, look at this. It looks old, okay? You can tell it's been in situ for a very, very long time. This doesn't look old, does it? Looks brand new, brassy. Now, the truth is, Mark 1 owners have had this issue probably for the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. I would not say that's a good enough time. If they have had that switch changed on your Mark 1, go and have a look, check it out, see if it's relatively clean, okay? If it looks relatively clean, not far from that, it's been changed. If it looks really ancient and it goes sort of browny here, okay, it's the original. And if it's got the genuine stuff printing on it, it's definitely the original, obviously. If you can't see that, then it has been changed. So it's a bit of a giveaway sign, really. If it's been changed for an aftermarket one, my suspicions are, I don't know how long it's been on the car, maybe it's lasted 4 or 5 years, that's fantastic. But these things are under an extreme amount of high pressure. And the way they fail is 2 ways. This O-ring will fail and it will burst, and it will just sort of burst out sideways. The leak will be sort of spitting everywhere. But the number 1 way that they go, and it went in Nick's car, if you've seen that photo, it actually shot out fluid, and the fluid went right down that wire. Why? You see there's a little hole there between the 2 little connectors. There's a little hole there, okay? Now that hole is a deliberate design feature, I believe, when they fail. When they fail, they will leak fluid to tell the owner that they have failed. Basically, that's my interpretation. There is a diaphragm inside here which tells the ECU whether it's low pressure or high pressure. The purpose of this switch is to tell the ECU if it needs to up the RPMs. If the RPMs are not high enough, there'll be a program set for that. So it makes sure that the RPMs are high enough so the power steering pump can work efficiently and not drag the whole electrical system, which is what this does. It will either tell the ECU it's low pressure, or when you turn the wheel, it will switch to high pressure. Have a look on an OBD2 scanner, okay? It will switch quite nicely. And that's what the diaphragm does. It sends that pressure reading through the electrical connectors, okay? That diaphragm will get weak, it will fail, and it will blow through that hole in a rather spectacular manner, and it will empty your bottle, as it did with Nick's and a lot of other Mark 1s, sadly, who will never watch this video. But for everybody who watches this video, I really implore you, the number 1 thing I should be banging on about, I'm talking about rear arm failures here, okay? But this is probably such a simple job to just do. 76 quid, you can do it at home. You need a 19 deep mil, 1/2 inch impact. You don't even have to flush the system if you don't want to. I don't probably need to because it's so clean like you've seen, but I will do. I'll just give it a whiz round and then it will be all good. It'll be fine. This problem will cause your car to possibly lose its steering ability. The rack will be forever ruined. You'll need a new rack, which will cost a lot of money. And your pump will be ruined. That's a lot of money for one switch. It's like the pollen filter seal. That seal, if it doesn't seal, can cause expensive issues inside the car that you'll have to deal with: fan motor, heater resistor, and a few other things. Namely, rust on the floor pan, because you've let there's water all over the floor pan, and the carpets can't soak it up. It's got to go somewhere, and it will go and rot your floor out. Very few Mark 1s I've seen that happen, but it's potential. This is a potential to be a serious issue, and I'm glad Nick's okay. I'm glad the car has survived with its pump and rack. Ironically, a few weeks after we did that flush job, honestly, completely ironic. So, the bottle. Just took a couple of the hoses off. Just took that clamp off the feeder. That's the feed, the big one that goes down into the pump. And this one, down here, that's hanging down. This is what goes in your bottle that you can find in your recycling bin for the rubbish. Just going to let that dangle there. Look at all that rubbish on that filter. Goodness me. I'm going to have to try and get that out. Yep. I wonder how many Mark 1s have got this particular problem. Well, it's not a problem, but that would decrease your power steering pressure. Yep, another part to clean. Lovely. And about 2 days later, after that video, Nick has brought the new switch down, but he's also brought me another job, because this is actually very relevant to this video, and I'm going to bang on about this now. So say hello, Nick. Yeah. Well, we've had some failures and some successes, and this is very relevant to this video of power steering. So we know the issue Nick had. He's now got a brand new power steering switch down there. The wires have been cleaned. Okay, that's all there. But you know what? That's going to have to come out. Why? Because the stupid garage have put ATF fluid in it. Why have they put ATF fluid in?
Beep. Studs.
That's good enough. That's good enough. I mean, what did they say to you about that? Did they just...
They're just... Well, apparently they looked the reg up, and red stuff is meant to be in it.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. This is wrong, this is. Now, this is exactly what I'm saying. Now, they've put just standard automatic... Is it comma stuff? Yeah.
Yes.
You've got a bottle in the boot.
Two.
They've given you some. Well, they've given you some spare stuff that's absolutely untouched. Well, I would. To be honest with you, it's useless to you, because you can't use it for this. Was there an actual difference in the driving though, in the steering?
Slightly heavier.
That's interesting. So, with the ATF, it's slightly heavier than what when the green stuff should be. Now, I'm not being funny. Guys, this is really serious here. I very rarely on this channel say a garage is 100% wrong. The professional mechanics have got it totally wrong. They have in this case. This is not what you should do. It should be the green stuff, which Nick has brought down. I've got plenty of stuff for my own, which... Yeah, you came prepared. Well, we've got to go down the road and sort mine out. But what I'm going to do is drain the fluid completely. So we're going to take that brand new switch out and drain it into the pan, like I've done with my own car early in this episode. and we're going to fill up with fresh fluid for this car. You won't see that, but we're just going to drain it now and we're going to head down the road. I'm sorry, this is so wrong. Garages will insist that it's ATF because it's just, I'm not being funny, it's stuff they have lying around. It's cheap for the garages, it's not cheap for you. The green stuff produces a better driving experience, and actually Nick's comment is actually proof that for a Mark 1, ATF does not get the best steering feel. If it's heavier, that is not right, it should be lighter. So we're going to dump this stuff out and head down the road. It's as simple as that, honestly.
Just so hoping they're not damage the rack.
Oh no, to be honest with you, this is the thing, ATF won't damage the rack. It won't do any damage, but it's not the best fluid to use for the steering feel.
Is it thinner?
It's thicker. No, it's thicker. It's central hydraulic fluid, the green stuff, is much thinner, but it's what is applicable. And I would say, if you're having to use ATF because you've got a leak in the system, you need to deal with the leak. Usually it will be a slight misting from the pump, like I've said. But if there's any moisture around the switch, that's not the fault of the fluid. That's the switch going. Like I said, you need to get that done and sorted. Like in this episode. Anyway,
can I just comment as well?
Yeah, go.
Not only have they put the one fluid in, they've overfilled it.
Oh, for God's sake. I mean, that's not a big deal. I will say, you can go above the max, but
That's the least.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, I'm going to have to take this bottle out, and I'm going to get your bottle cleaned up because my bottle,
I want to feel it.
Yeah, as some of you have watched in the last bit of this video, I put my bottle through the ultrasonic cleaner, and it has, I tell you, it's brand new. It looks brand new. Your cap, by the way, yeah, it's missing all the symbols. I've actually ordered a brand new cap with all the logo that's not actually completely faded. My cap's not bad, so I'll give you my old cap. It's not bad at all. It's better than looking at something that's blank.
Yeah.
I just like stuff showing like that. It's stuff like this. I like it. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to drain this and we'll get down the road and we'll cut to them. Right, down here. Thank you, Nick, for being the cameraman as always. Right, okay, look at that. Brand new bottle. No, it isn't. It's just been ultrasonicked, and Nick, your bottle's going to look exactly the same, but you can't wait.
Nope.
See the results of that. And, yeah, completely clean on the inside. And more importantly, if you can show them, Nick, there has been a slight improvement on the condition of the filter. You're never going to quite get all the rubbish out, but actually that's probably at least 60-70% less than what was in there, so fingers crossed. And I had to say, I've ordered a new cap to see if I can get a better one without the writing fading off. Do not use chemical cleaners on that, or all sorts of products. Silicone, just spray it in silicone if you want it to look nice for a show or whatever, but honestly, apart from that, don't clean this because you'll rub the writing off. And thanks, Nick. This is the correct parts number, 1076647. Made in Mexico. Oh my goodness. Packed in 2024. No. That is ridiculous. They're still making these bits. I've got a feeling these might have been used because I looked at the parts numbers and I'm convinced that some of these are used for later Mark II, Mark III focuses, hence why they're still manufactured. But lovely. This costs £76, but it's an expensive item for what is such a small component. But it needs to be done. It will come with a little blanking plug there. Just take that out. It's just a blank, just to protect it in situ. Again, made in Mexico with the big thread and the O-ring that sits there, far different to the one that I've got. So, yeah, it's a lot of money for this, but this is the most, I'd say 4 or 5 times, this is the most important component in the power steering system. Not every car manufactured has a power steering switch. Some cars do their gizmos with the power steering very differently, but this is required, and it is an Achilles heel at this age. So I'm just going to slide it in, screw it in, and we'll refit everything. Right, how do we do? To fit this, by the way, you fit it dry. You do not fit it with anything on this O-ring, okay? We just fit it dry, okay? The O-ring has to seal quite nicely, and I'm not intent on putting anything in. Just screw it in, as best as you can. Okay, just take that, I'll set that cap away. Now I'm just going to get my 19mm, just snug, don't over tighten it because you could wreck the thread and then you've cost yourself £76. Oh, yeah. There we go, and that feels, yep, lovely. We've hit a dead stop. When you hit a dead stop and it won't move anymore without even moderate force, stop. There you go, all in. And we could just fit our plug back on nice and neatly. If it won't stop fighting me. Now the plug is this way round. So the tag is at the bottom. There we go, lovely. I am missing part of the plug because I think the heater's just sort of got to the plug a little bit, but it's just clipped on quite nicely there. It's not going to, yeah, that's not going to come off whatsoever. Brilliant, superb. Right, okay, well the next bit now is just to get this back in. Now obviously I've got my bottle technique and just pop this back on. Now obviously I'm going to have to get some rags to stuff the bottom here. I'm just going to get my nose pliers and just pin it back up. Come on. There we go. Just make sure the clamp is sitting where it usually sat before. You'll just see some markings. There we go. Lovely. Lovely. Done. Right. Rags. Now, there's no particular technique to this. Just stuff the bottom with a rag. There might be some excess that does come out, but the idea is there will be some remnants of ATF in the system, so you're still going to have to flush it out. It's not a simple case of connecting everything back up and then just refitting it and bleeding it. There will be some remnants of either ATF, if you've had ATF put in, like yours, Nick, which is what we're going to do later. We're just going to repeat this on your car. But there we go. The pipe is just being completely stuffed. And now we're in a position where we can just push this feeder pipe, there we go, to a natural position. And that should be good. I will monitor that just to make sure there's no leakage down there. We'll know instantly with my car because it's so clean. And this is the fluid we'll be using. Now, the Granville stuff that we're using on yours, Nick, and we've been using, I've used on mine. But this, actually, I found this is cheaper. This is a few quid cheaper. So Manor 8990 central hydraulic fluid. And it is to Ford WSS M2C 204A. 204A is the green hydraulic fluid, please. 195 is standard automatic rubbish, okay? Like in yours.
Yeah.
So, we don't want that.
Where did you get that from?
I bought this off eBay. Just type in that parts number and it will come up.
Right.
It will come up. Oh, I've got this stupid seal. What the heck? I've never seen one with a seal like this before. You just pull it. I presume so. Oh yeah, it just comes out.
Oh, no way doing it,
That's a fancy seal. That's a nice seal actually. And
switch places?
yes, absolutely. And just pour it in very gently. Oh yeah, look at that, nice and green. Now this is the case just to observe and check the switch to make sure that nothing is draining out. That is so green, it's untrue. And this is where you just need to make sure that there's no weepage at the switch. No, there isn't. Lovely. And make sure there's no leaks where that rag is in this bottle. Just fill it up. Very, very...
Wow.
Okay, that was a bit close. Stay. And we've had no leakage whatsoever. And I've put... Well, this is a... Hold on. This is a litre. And I've just put over 500 ml, which has filled the bottom of the system to the top of the bottle. I would say that... People have asked me this. What's the capacity of the power steering system? I'd say a litre. I'd say a litre and the whole system's full. But you're going to have a couple of litres to be sure. So you need 2 bottles. Always need 2. Anyway, let's start the procedure. I'm just going to check the bottom.
I advise you not to fill it with that much. if it's going to be left.
No, that's a good point actually. But no, no, absolutely. There's no leaks on this whatsoever. Good. Right. Okay, I'm going to get in the car and manually turn the steering lock to lock, and we'll observe. You just do the observing, Nick.
Yep.
You will hear air because there'll be air expelled. There we go. That's a bit
stuff coming through.
Lovely. Probably very clean, is it?
Yeah, it's like that sample you give me.
That's brilliant. Right. Oh, a lot of air in that system, and it's only gone down a little bit, and that is exactly what you want to see. That is really, really good stuff. And there's no leakages at all. That's fantastic. Right, I'll keep going with this then. Oh, really? Yeah, usually it kind of stops at the bottom because it doesn't take directly from the bottom. Not ideally anyway. Let's just put more in. Right to the top. Okay, that's almost a bottle. Right. It is a bit more harder because unfortunately I've only jacked it up on one side because of this garage. So ideally you need both wheels off the ground to... Steering is a bit heavier. There we go. And I'm hearing less air now. I've just taken the rag back out and we're okay. Bottle is empty, so there will be some air obviously when we top up, but that's naturally going to be burped out when we refit this. There we go. Done. I mean, look at that bottle. I mean, that's a lot of stuff we've got out of there. This is why you need 2 litres of this. There we go. And then we just pop this back in here. It's a nice new bottle. It looks absolutely brand new, the thing. I can't believe how good my ultrasonic cleaner has made this look. Honestly, the ones you can buy are the black top ones that would have been a revised for the Mark II Focus, but I just give it a bit of a clean up. Make sure we are good to go. Yeah, we are good to go. We are good to go. Excuse the mess on the floor. Actually, that was from before. Right, lovely. So I'm just going to top up to the top, and there will be some excess that will just come down.
What, you rimming it?
No, what I'm going to do, this is the advice actually. I'm just going to top up just above halfway, because guaranteed it will go down. Might go down to the minimum. I'm just going to put a tiny bit more in, because you remember how far it dropped on yours if you watched that video. It went from the max to about the minimum. Yeah. So I've put it above the max because I know it's going to drop. Right, let's start the thing up. Right, as I say, like last time, just cycle lock to lock and it will drop, and we'll deal with that in a second. So let's start this thing up. And not the wipers. Oh, that's light. Ha ha ha! That is so light. My God, I could literally turn the wheel in my 2 fingers. I've never had it so light.
You know how I felt?
That is utterly, yeah, that's transformed that. Brilliant. I'm just going to turn it a couple more times. Lovely. And just check the switch. Lovely. What's in my hand, obviously. Yeah, nothing there. Perfect. So that's how far it's dropped. Perfect. Lovely. Right, I'll just top up. So it didn't drop much. Just a bit more. Lovely. Job done. We are on a bit of a slant because we've jacked it up. Perfect. And that is how you do this. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope this has helped. Thanks, Nick, for the part. And It safeguards your power steering system. It makes sure that it works efficiently. You've got light steering, direct steering, exactly as it was intended from original, using this fluid. And now, got to do yours. No rest for the wicked.
First success of the day.